You're listening to the Good News Podcast with Jamie Holtum, brought to you by NBUC.
Welcome, everyone, to the Good News Podcast. So glad that you've joined us today. We have Stan Wilson, a Brampton Royals coach. Stan has an incredible story, how he got called to coach baseball. And he doesn't just coach baseball. He's developing young people into having beautiful and better lives. You're going to love Stan, the energy, the leadership, all that he brings to this conversation, as well as a commitment to balance all of that with his family, which is more challenging than ever before. Get ready. So glad you're with us. Let's dive in. So welcome everybody to the Good News Podcast. As always, so glad that you can join us. And the vision of this is to share good news. And I'm telling you, man, we got some good news today. This is a good friend of mine. And I'm so excited to have Coach Stan Wilson on with us today. Coach is coaching our youngest son, Caleb. That's not why he's here. I just want to say that it's because of the way he rolls and what he does and the way he exemplifies living into this idea of good news, being a positive influence on young people's lives. And hey, Stan, you know how I feel about you, man. Love you so much, and just appreciate what you do and the way you do it. And we'll talk about winning championships, all those kinds of things. But there's so much more from what I see to you and who you are and the way you do what you do. Why don't we start today just with a little introduction? Tell us a bit about yourself, your Brampton connection, baseball connection, and we'll just kind of go from there.
Absolutely. No, first off, I just want to thank you for having me on. I was pretty pumped and excited when this was first proposed a while back. So, I appreciate, again, you having me out here and being able to share kind of some of the stuff we've been able to do over the years. And I just want to say I really appreciate it. So thank you.
Pleasure.
So let's get cracking. Brampton resident now for 25 years. I was actually born and raised in Malton, which is a pocket of Mississauga. And then got married at a very young age, at 19 years old, actually. At that point, moved into Brampton. And the journey, I would say Brampton and obviously getting married was kind of the turning point in my life as far as, you kind of turn into a man pretty quickly as far as, your decision making and everything goes. So, been in Brampton for 25 years. I'm currently divorced. I'm with a young lady named Jazz. We have a blended family of 10, which is super exciting. And it's always been a kind of a dream of mine. I'm not going to lie. I can remember even as a young age as kindergarten, having a vision for myself. Hey, I want to be young, have a family at a young age, and have a big family. I'm from a big family of 7 myself, 7
Cool.
kids, and my parents. So blended family right now. We both have 4 kids each, 7 boys and my daughter, Jasmine, who has the same name as Jasmine, obviously. And then I've been coaching in Brampton for 15 years. And we'll get into that whole journey. Operations manager with Tim Hortons, for the largest franchisee in Canada, actually. So there's a lot of intertwining aspects of my life that have, rubbed off in different parts, whether it be my family or my professional life or the kids. And I've definitely been blessed over the years with different people that have impacted me in my life. So, that's basically me in a nutshell.
That's awesome, Stan. And so with the coaching, how did you get into coaching? Because we've chatted a bit about that. That's a kind of a cool story. Yeah.
It's crazy. I obviously grew up playing ball. My family is not a sports oriented family. My father was in the Army Reserves, and then he was studied at University of Windsor. It was an engineer. He's been a university professor. Very, very educated, very intelligent, very regimented. And I would say that's, again, part of who I am as a character and as a person. But I would say, growing up playing baseball, it was kind of funny because, my parents didn't really attend too much. They knew there was value in it, obviously hanging around with other kids and everything, but didn't realize, I would say at that point, the impact that decision at an early point in my life and the impact it would have on my life. And then in turn, people that I've had the luxury of being around. So it's kind of neat and interesting how things things came to fruition. again, I wasn't raised in that sports family. So, I was had my first son, Isaiah, and he was 8 years old. And I had a best friend of mine named Courtney, who I still speak to this day and we're really good friends with. And he has a son who's 2 years older than my son, playing in Brampton minor baseball. And at the time, he came to me and he said, "Hey, why don't you go start coaching?" And it had never entered my mind at all. Like, I mean, at this point in my life, it was not even something that it at all came up. I actually hadn't even thought about putting my son into baseball, to be honest with you, at this point. We had him in swimming and some other activities, but it was kind of just put him on various things and see what kind of clicks and what he enjoys. So he came over to me and said, "Hey, there's a gentleman named Steve Kretz in Brampton minor baseball, and he was the president. They're looking for a rookie ball coach for this for the 97 age group." And I said, "You know what? Why don't I just go there and meet the folks?" And sure enough, went in for the interview. Kind of went through my background, everything as far as my baseball knowledge and everything goes. And sure enough, I got the position. And I can just say that first year with those group of kids and the families was literally one of the biggest impacts I've had in my life. Mm-hmm. And it was an unbelievable experience. I had no clue what I was doing. I kind of, I had my own thoughts in my mind how to do it. You kind of read up on some different things, and obviously access to information is far less than what it is now. Yeah. But again, you just go with your own philosophies, and basically my work ethic has pretty much got me to where I am. So I just basically put that into the program, and we ended up going, 29-1 that year, 29 wins and 1 loss. We weren't allowed to play as a team. We could only play in tournaments. So it's very different back then. You had to be very dedicated to house league. Yeah. So it was kind of the first step of really where I am now. And let me tell you that the amount of information that I've learned, from 15 years ago to now, and just how I conduct myself, how we operate the team and everything, it's unbelievable. So there's been just as much learning for myself as there is for the boys.
Yeah. Absolutely. Isn't that, and that's the way God works, eh? Like everybody wins, everybody gets blessed in the process when you do the right things. And when you said you didn't imagine yourself coaching, I just jumped in. Really? Because what's funny, guys, if Coach Stan, Stan these days, he dedicates a lot of time to this. Like, this has become a huge passion for him. And friends, you might be listening to this today, and maybe sports is not your thing. Maybe baseball is not your thing. This is about way more than that. Like, isn't that cool to think back? Those years ago, you didn't have in your mind that this is where you would be, that you would have baseball at your heart and the impact and influence that God has blessed you to have through the sport, let alone the blessing in your life. I want to talk about that in just a minute. But so friends, like, I don't know where you're at in life right now. It could be a challenging time, man. Like, it is a challenging time, but just know God's got something in store for you that could change everything. And it's been so awesome to have a front row seat watching Stan coach and Stan. So just maybe I see the blessing that you bring to families and young people and their parents. And I want to talk about, because there's so many levels that I just feel privileged to see you and God working in and through you. But for yourself, man, like what's been the impact on you? Like your life is different. You've been blessed by having this really big important piece of your life around baseball.
There's no doubt about it. And I think you hit the nail on the head there. This is a lot bigger than baseball. And that's part of the passion and why I enjoy the game so much. It's great because that, this, I guess, like-mindedness or avenue of the sport of baseball, gets these group of men together. But at the end of the day, it's really the other things we're accomplishing outside of baseball, which is, the biggest kind of win. And having been in for 15 years and now seeing 8-year-old kids now, 23, 24, either playing in the major leagues, playing in the minor leagues, getting married, or whatever the case is, maybe, going to be starting their family shortly. It's been an unbelievable experience. And the impact that it's had on my life it's really been probably the biggest impact. The reason why I say that is, at the end of the day, my core values and my family is by far the most important thing for me. But in saying that, my baseball family is just an extension of that. And you form relationships, at the end of the day that you're going to have in your life forever, which is it's pretty amazing because, times can be tough for folks. And, unfortunately our circles, get smaller as we get older. for whatever reason. And what I've noticed is my circles continue to get bigger, and I'm extremely lucky and grateful for that. And again, that's because of baseball. Like in my job that I have right now, I oversee roughly about 500 employees, and leadership it's the most important quality you can have as far as your results go in the business. And again, it's another situation where you have that opportunity to impact people's life in a positive manner. And whether it be immigrants coming over and you're just giving them that opportunity, you're training them, coaching them, and showing them some sort of vision or long-term goals for themselves, it's the same reward and impact you have. So touching someone's life and then watching them kind of run away with that and grow, it's an unbelievable feeling, and it's very rewarding. And again, I kind of go back to how lucky I've been. The only reason why I'm able to do this and have this quality is literally because of the people that have impacted me in my life. My father, as much as we're extremely different individuals, he's had a major influence, a positive influence on my life, whether it be work ethic, being consistent. That's very, very important. Being consistent with your decisions, being consistent with your promises. Those are all very, very important qualities that my father instilled in me. Through work at McDonald's is where I started. I was going to university and studying to be an architect, actually, and hated the program. And after 1 year, I literally stopped university, and McDonald's opened up an opportunity. Like, do you want to, maybe look at us as a career path? And to be honest with you, again, I'm like, oh God, I'm not gonna make a career path at McDonald's. But what I will do is I'll take the job, I'll take the pay, I'll start pumping off on my mortgage until I figure out what I want to go back to university for. And again, another great example of being influenced by leaders and then truly impacting my life. And then all of a sudden, I got hooked up with a gentleman named Franco Tassioni, and he was my mentor / boss. And the impact he had on my life literally changed it again. Taught me more about leadership, taught me more about how to treat people regardless of their position, taught me again a reinforced work ethic. And a lot of the life lessons that he taught me, I still use to this day. Like, one thing I'll never forget, he pounded into my head, is when you walk into a restaurant, make sure you say hello and shake the hand of every single individual that's there, or pat them on their back, or whatever the case is. And I remember the first time when he came into our location, when I got transferred there, and he literally did that. I'm kind of watching this guy going, this guy, he does it literally every single time. The second he steps into that building, and every single time he leaves, he makes sure he goes to every single person and says thank you and shakes their hand. And I use that to this day because I know the impact. I was like blown away by this. And you kind of watch everyone's face, and it's a real small, I guess, gesture, but the impact, just looking someone in their eyes, saying thank you, or just saying hello, you can pick up on things. And it's allowed me to be able to look at someone, and I can tell if you're having a great day. I can tell if you're having a bad day. I can tell if you're just having a regular day. And then that all opens up another door for me to maybe pull you to the side. Hey, how you doing here? Are you okay? Is there anything you need? Is there anything kind of you need help with? You know what I mean? And then obviously through my leadership, I'm able to provide that help, or just even a door or an ear to listen. So, those between, the whole, I'm going to say leadership in general, whether it's sports or work, that's been the biggest impact. And it's helped me as a person. And the impact it's had on other people's lives, watching them grow and develop, it's literally the best feeling in the world. And it gets me up every single day. And it motivates me. No doubt about that.
I love it, man. And as you're talking, like, it's so cool because one of your mentors taught you this very practical thing of saying hello, of greeting everybody when you go into a store, and the impact of encouragement and connection that has. Well, friends, like, if when things open up again, I'd encourage you to come out to one of Coach Stan's baseball games, because his players, no surprise, do the exact same thing. When a player comes off the field, especially if he's maybe had a negative experience, maybe things didn't go his way, strikeout, where it might be, you'll hear Stan yelling, pick him up. And there's a little bit of fist pumping and encouragement, connection after the game, after every practice. I know this doesn't just happen. Like, I know it doesn't just happen. Leadership brings an intentionality and influences the culture. And there's a culture in a house, there's a culture in an organization, there's a culture on a team. And so every time, end of practice, end of game, I see all of your players coming over to each of the coaches and saying, hey, thanks. And like, again, we're talking about not just baseball here. It makes the whole experience better, man. Life is hard no matter what age you are. And if you're talking about a 11-year-old, 13, 15, 18, life can be hard for these guys, and they don't know how to express it yet. And that encouragement, like, it just amazes me that you got that from your mentor, and the legacy continues because you bring it into your team. So they're doing it on the baseball field, but you think they're not going to do that when they walk into a store later on in life, when they're the manager or when they're leading something or with their family. Like, I just love it. I just love it. So we're getting all over this sense of, it isn't just about baseball. Hey, I love baseball, man. I love sports. Like, I'm a sports guy through and through. That's been, faith in sports. That's kind of my life, right? I love it. But when you think about your role in building not just baseball players, but also people, what are some of the ways that you see the lessons of baseball translating to life for the young men that you're working with?
Yeah, it's a great point. At the end of the day, I truly believe it's our responsibility as the adults, as a leader figure in their lives, to instill those various work ethics, or I guess beliefs or values, and basically, I have a Derek Jeter quote that I constantly reinforce with myself, or actually it's kind of blended into my mind right now, but it's just something I keep reminding myself or talk to other people about. And that's basically, there's more people that may have more talent than you, but there's no excuse for someone to work harder than you. So that's a really, really, really important message, because like we talked about, we talked about faith, we talked about baseball, we talked about life in general. At the end of the day, it's your mindset that will allow you to get through things. I've read various leadership books, Good to Great, as is probably a good book that I like to reference from a leadership standpoint. And it's all about choosing your attitude. And I could talk about this past year. It has been the biggest struggle as a coach for myself, because I know what the guys are going through sitting at home on these Zoom calls. And, you do everything in your power to keep them motivated, keep them coming out. But I know it's impacting them. I know it's tough. And you do everything you can as a leader. But, at the end of the day, we just keep reminding them, look, guys, we can choose to let this impact our lives in a negative manner. We can give up. We can stop working on our care. We can stop caring about getting better. But at the end of the day, long term, that's not going to do anything for us, because it's going to be patches in our lives down the road where things aren't going to be the way they want. Unfortunately, that's life. So, we're trying to do our best to teach these young men to basically how to deal with adversity and to constantly keep a positive mindset to be able to achieve whatever you're looking to achieve. And at the end of the day, there's no goal that's unachievable. You can shoot for whatever you like. You may not achieve it. You may not. Jeremiah, my son, is a perfect example. He wants to get to the major leagues. We've talked about statistically how hard it is, but at the end of the day, his work ethic, his mindset, and everything he's trying to do to achieve that goal, whether he succeeds or not, is going to open up other doors for him down the road. And I think that's the most important thing that we can do as leaders is teach these young men that, hey, face adversity head on. It's okay. Just like striking out in a baseball game is okay. Going 0 for 3 is okay. Having an error is okay. Because guess what? Tomorrow we're going to be on this diamond again. The day after that, you're going to be on the diamond again. Or in life, you got another day you can go compete and be better. And I would definitely say that's probably the mindset that we look to instill in the young men, for sure.
Yeah. Well, you do it so well. My man. Like, just that growth mindset. I mean, I remember the first night that Caleb, our son, was on the Stan's team. Often a coach will give their philosophy of coaching and just here's what the year is going to be about. And I remember I came home that night. I was so excited. Like, I'm like, yap to our family. Like, this guy's awesome, man. I love it. He's such a strong leader. And I'm sending Stan, like, because I read leadership stuff too. I love leadership. I'm sending Stan all these quotes from these different, and that he reminded me of that night through what he'd said. And I don't think I've told you this, Stan, but our family, they said, hey, Dad, you may want to tone it down a little bit. Like, why don't you guys date a little bit first before you go all the way? But it was so much fun. But I love it, man. Like that growth mindset, that positivity. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to strike out. We're going to make errors. But what can we learn from them to get better, right? Like that is so huge. And you bring that like in exponential ways. And it's so awesome. We're talking a lot about leadership because coaching is leading. It's leading your coaching staff. It's leading your team. It's leading the parents, And so one of the things, and I think if anyone's listening to this, if you've been around minor sports, you know that sometimes parents have opinions that differ from the coach, and I'll just put it that way. But let's not forget, like, hey, any of us that lead anything, we always have challenge, because no one's going to be. We it's hard to make decisions that are going to please everybody. Like that's just so. That's whatever you lead, whatever you live, it could be within your own home. That's a reality. Exactly. Stan, how do you handle that as a coach? Because that can be a challenge. And I'm not looking to name names or
no,
right? Of course,
no, 100%.
But you face that, and how do you handle that and stay positive and stay focused and that kind of thing? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I can guarantee every single year, 15 years of coaching, I've dealt with this, and I guess that goes with leadership, like you said. That's anyone making decisions. You're going to make decisions that make people happy. You're going to make some people unhappy. And unfortunately, I'm confident enough in what I'm doing so I don't have to worry about those sort of things. Yeah. At the end of the day, every decision I make in life, whether it be professionally, personally, or baseball as an example, my heart's always in the right spot. Yeah. And every decision I make isn't correct. Just like the kids, they make mistakes. I make mistakes too. So as long as you're willing to own up to when you make those mistakes, reflect, and then adjust, you're going to get a lot more buy-in and you'll get a lot more respect. And at the end of the day, once you've kind of garnered that respect, it's a lot easier to make those decisions because, the people may not agree with them, but they respect you enough that your heart's in the right spot and you're truly doing what's best for their child as an example. So again, like anything in life, communication is key, right? I set expectations from tryouts. Like you get your letter, we go through it, there's no surprises. What I offer as a team or what we expect as coaches is right there for you in black and white. We reinforce it at the first parent meeting. We constantly send emails out. And as the kids get older, to be honest with you, I really drive that message more with the kids than the parents. Yeah. They're kind of at that age right now at 15 years old where my expectation on them to take ownership for their baseball career, life, their decisions, it's on them right now. I'll shoot out reminders to the parents and I'll keep them in the loop as far as expectations go. But, we'll use this year as an example. It's probably the best year where I've had to communicate the most with the kids. Yeah. And, you start to see kids falling off. So it's my job, bring them back in. Hey, I'll send a private message or whatever. Hey, how you doing? You okay there? Is there anything you need? No, all's good. Well, the boys could really use you back. You're part of a bigger team here. Just kind of checking on the kids and like anything, people fall off sometimes and that's okay. And that's okay. So, as long as we kind of pull them back and reel them back in, we're doing the right thing at the end of the day. And any folks that are continue to be upset, let's say at the program, at the end of the day, I always say to this family, do what's best for your family, do what's best for your son. And the program that we run may not be the best for every family, and that's okay. Yeah. That is 100% okay. And, like I said, I've got enough confidence in the program and what we're doing so that I'm not offended or hurt by those things. Does it suck? Yeah. Do I want the family to be part of the program? Sure I do. But again, that's life, man. That's okay. So, unfortunately, that door that's closing is going to open a door up for another family and another child to jump in on the program, and we'll have that opportunity to impact that family, hopefully in a positive manner. So you'll learn. I'm not going to lie, at the beginning of the coaching career, not really knowing what I was doing, you're going to have some thick skin and it's tough. But again, through time and effort and reevaluating myself, you'll get those answers. I ask a lot of questions. I'll ask my coaches their opinion. And again, I may not always agree, but I'll ask them their opinion. We'll vote on things. We'll discuss things. And that's, again, key about being a leader is listening to the other leaders, because I can tell you there's been enough times in my life where I've changed my opinion because of facts being brought forward or opinions being brought forward that I just didn't think of. So, I would definitely say
that's a great response. I mean, there's so much there, and I hear you, Stan. Like, you may be the head coach, or someone may be the leader ultimately, but you're never doing it alone. You're doing it with other people, and I know I find that too. Like, it's not me just standing up there. It's us together, and there's power in that, and there's conviction in that. And that clarity, like you said, and I guess, I mean, I there could be young leaders, people who are leading for the first time. Maybe your gift in this part of the conversation is to know that when you run into opposition as a leader, because you will, just don't be surprised. Just it's not you. It's normal. It happens. It's going to happen again. It happens to all of us, and it's okay. You can deal with this. You're going to be all right. But then that conviction of clarity, I think it's Brené Brown who says clarity is kindness. And I agree. Stan, you bring a clarity of what the expectations are of your philosophy, what's going to happen over the year, so that when these things happen, it shouldn't be a surprise. You're just reminding people what you've already talked about. And as you said, it's not always easy, but I just love the way that you do that. Yeah.
I'll jump in and also add to talking to the kids, like, is more important than the parents, to be honest with you. Yeah. Like, and again, that's age, that's based off their age as well. Like, I'm not going to have the same conversation with an 8-year-old that I would a 15-year-old. But as the kids get older and you start to put that onus and responsibility on them, you can quickly determine whether it's an actual player concern or a parent concern. Most times I find the kids aren't really necessarily I guess the factor in some of the comments and questioning, and it's really just the parents and everything, and that's okay. It's just a parent being passionate about and loving their child and wanting what's best for their child. So again, that goes back to making sure as a leader you listen to the people you're leading as well. That's super important, because hey man, we all make mistakes, and sometimes you just got to step back and listen to the kids, and they're gonna send you on that right path, and that's really important.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about Theo Fleury earlier, and when Theo was on the Good News podcast, friends, I'd encourage you to listen back to those ones. There's 2 episodes with Theo that are just lights out, off the charts, just incredible at so many levels. Yeah, but he talked about, obviously as an elite NHL hockey player, he has a little bit of experience being around the rink or the sports arena. And I know one of the things he was just talking about, humility that's required as coaches, and just hear that in what you're saying too, Stan, just the ability to listen. Sometimes I get it wrong. We'll learn from that. I'll grow too. We're going to grow together. Like love that messaging. And hey, Stan, one of the things that's unique about your role as a coach here in Brampton is you've done something that is really difficult to do, and you've won several national championships with teams. And that's not why I brought you on today. It's because of all this other stuff. But I feel like all this other stuff that you do has actually, winning is a byproduct of that in some ways. And so love to hear a bit, there could be coaches listening to this today that are trying to be encouraged. Love to hear a bit on how
get to that point.
How the winning, what's the key to creating teams where that is the culture, where winning isn't the only thing for sure, but it is a byproduct of what you're trying to do.
It's funny. That's probably in the baseball community. That's probably the number one question that I'm asked the most.
Okay.
At the end of the day, a lot of the coaches are trying to win the big tournament, provincials or nationals. And I kind of, as much as it's a goal, we communicate the goal. Hey, our goal for the team is to win nationals. Like you said, it's really the byproduct of everything we do to kind of prepare for that. And I've had the luxury of winning 3 national championships, and this team, obviously, on our first year together, we finished 3rd in the country, which I was extremely proud of.
Yeah.
But it's not really, the accolades are nice. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot more value and reward in how these men develop and how they finish off. And I shouldn't say finish off their lives, but as they continue their journey through life. The connection you continue to maintain with a lot of these kids, that's kind of the biggest factor and the biggest win. And I see guys there on their personal profile. Oh, I won this, we won this, we won that, we won this, and on my profile, it's all about the kids. It's I got my Derek Jeter quote up there about instilling hard work and all that stuff. And again, that just goes back to reinforcing what we expect and want for our young men. So, we talk about that journey, to win a national championship. And it literally starts with the very first time at tryouts. When we get to tryouts, we have a meeting as coaches, what we're looking for, what we need to do as far as personnel changes, whether we need more personality on the team, right? If you got a bunch of quiet kids, sometimes you need to have someone in there that may not necessarily have the same talent, but has a lot of energy. Or maybe you're lacking leadership, as an example, on the team. So it really starts in the tryout. So what pieces do we currently have with the team? What do we need to do to get kind of that full circle, the full package for that long-term run? And then as soon as those tryouts start, again, the communication to the group, hey, here's our end goal. Here's how we're going to go about doing that. We're going to be on a diamond a lot. We're going to be practicing a lot. We're going to be playing a lot of baseball games. At the end of the day, it's no surprise the effort you put in will yield the results you get. And that's not just in baseball. So, there's no magic bullet. You want something, go work your tail off, and you'll be in a good position to hopefully get what you need or get what you like at the end of the day. So we put that all in. Having kids at the very beginning at rookie ball, it's a lot easier, to be honest with you, than taking over a team like I did this past year with the 06s, because it's very easy to influence a 8-year-old. It's very easy to influence an 8-year-old, whether that's positively or negatively. It's very easy to influence a family that's never been involved in rep sports. When they're taught this from the very beginning, oh, okay, this is just the way it must always be. So but that's okay when, taking over a newer team and an older team that's had various coaches, that can be a bit of a culture shock. Yeah. But that's okay, because at the end of the day, when the parents start to trust the program, trust what we're doing, visually see what's happening, listen to the communication, it is pretty plain and simple to see the kind of the path and the journey that we're on. So, I would definitely say putting the time in with the kids, instilling in that. And again, it's not just the time that we put together as a team. I talk to the boys about this quite often is, look, we're going to be on a baseball diamond, 5 days a week, 6 days a week. But what are you doing on your own to help yourself and to help the team as well? Because, you got a choice at the end of the day. The boys have a choice. I talk to my son about this all the time. You can go and play video games, son, right now. You can go on your phone and watch YouTube or play video games, or you can do something to make yourself better, whether it's reading or whatever the case is. So, at the end of the day, you don't want to take away they're still kids. Yeah. So, and that's really important, is finding that balance. And again, sometimes that's an opportunity for me is maintaining that balance. Sometimes I got to step back and be like, all right, we've been on a diamond for 14 days in a row. I need to pull back here because, the kids need to be kids. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, and the families need to get family time. But, at the end of the day, that work ethic, that drive is really what I guess gets us to that end point. Constant communication throughout. Hey guys, what are our goals? What are we trying to achieve today? We'll do internal game goals where each kid has something they're supposed to be working on, whether it's hit a ball to the opposite field or throwing first pitch strikes or whatever it is. We've got some kids that are not as fast necessarily on the base pass. So maybe they just got to go steal a base or get hit by a pitch. And all the kids kind of get behind them. And it's kind of funny watching them get pretty amped up when one of the guys kind of achieve a harder target that they've been struggling with. But again, it's kind of all these little games within the games that have them compete internally with themselves and against each other, so that when they're in that moment in a big situation, hey man, piece of cake, I've been doing this the whole season. So again, it's that mindset, building confidence and teaching them that through their hard work and efforts that they'll be able to basically overcome any obstacle in their life, as hard as it would be. So
love it, man. Well, and because isn't it true in baseball and in life, so there's things that happen that you can't control always. A kid can make an amazing catch out in the outfield that no other player on the planet would have got. You can't believe it, but it was still a well hit ball. So I love that you're giving the guys things that they can control and work on. And again, you do those things consistently and often enough, they'll generally lead to wins. But even if they don't, you've done your part. You've done what you can. And, I agree. Like I kind of get ramped up, as you can tell. And I forget sometimes that kids need to be kids. You need to have some fun as well. But I love, Stan, the way that you do bring fun in very intentionally. You'll often end a practice with a drill, with a little bit of a competition, make things fun. And, you can work hard and have a goal and work to accomplish it and have a whole lot of fun along the way. I think God wants that for all of us, again, in baseball, but also in life and leadership and all that we do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, Stan, I love your family, and I love your commitment to your family, and hadn't really thought about this till we've been talking here today. So hope you don't mind me tossing this in.
No, you're good. You're good.
But I love, thanks, man. I love the way that you involve your family and do that intentionally. And also, I know just from what I see in conversations we had that you also have time away from the diamond with your family that are very intentional as well. I think we live in a world that sometimes it can be hard to get that kind of balance. And especially now when we're working from home and we can always be on the screen, technology allows us to never be done, So what are the ways that you've worked at it? Because I know, like everything else, man, you're intentional, you're purposeful, you've worked at this, how you involve your family in this beautiful baseball piece of your life, but also know when it's time to dial it back and go fishing or whatever it might be. Yeah, that might be a great chat for people to hear today.
Yeah. Again, it's with my personality type is good or bad. I get involved with something and I'm involved with it. Like I expect 110% from myself. I expect 110% from the people I'm with. And again, it's whatever I do. And sometimes that could lead to trouble for myself and the family. And again, it's 100% a life lesson that I've had to experience, unfortunately, but fortunately enough that I did learn the lesson. And I think that's key because, if you continue to make the same error over and over, it's you got to sit back and reflect and listen. And part of listening is listening to your family. So, having done this for 15 years with my 3 sons, I've also coached my daughter as well in her sports. And being as involved as I am and as passionate as I am, if you don't have that balance, you will impact your family. And it's definitely a lesson that I've learned. And, I did some counseling for it, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? I reached out and did some counseling and stuff like that for myself personally to kind of get that. Okay, you know what? Part of being a leader is listening. It's not just listening to the people I'm leading, but the people the bigger family that I'm part of, or the bigger team that I'm part of is listening to them. So, finding that balance, unfortunately, was a lesson I've learned later in life. When you're 20 years old and 25 years old, and you think you know everything, and man, you find out quickly when you're 40 that you don't quite know everything. So the good news is I've learned the lesson, and basically, I will say this: jazz. Which is currently my common law that I'm with right now. She's probably had the biggest impact on my life with that because she's not someone that likes to sit at home. So we're very much so the same where we enjoy being out. We're not going to be sitting on the couch watching TV all day. We need to stay busy as a family. And I will say, through me learning this lesson and then having her come into my life at the right time, it's helped me to become an even better father and focus on the family. So, there again, we'll talk to COVID. At the very beginning, when you were allowed to be with your family only, literally every Saturday we were setting up family competition. So, we would play touch football one day. We did wiffle ball game one day. We do volleyball in the backyard all the time. We're constantly, because we're a sports family, those are things we're doing. And they can get pretty heated and people can get excited because we have very similar personalities. But, sitting back and reflecting now, and I'm going, you go through your pictures and stuff like that. We're getting dressed up in outfits. Like one team will be dressed up one way, the other team's dressed up in another. You're getting team names and kind of all that stuff. But, looking back at it now, you're kind of just blown away by, hey, you know what? You can make the time to do this. You need to do this, and here are the impacts it's going to have on your family life. So, I give a lot of the credit to Jazz because it's something that she constantly insists no, I'm not going to say forces, but plans.
Yeah.
So then it kind of, it's not something, it's not like it's something that I don't have to worry about. It's something I know from a consistency standpoint. Hey, what's our next adventure? What's our next family adventure? Maybe it's we're going to a new pizza place because she's a foodie, or a taco place, or maybe this place is opened up and we're going to go do that. Or hey, we're booked into this cottage for the weekend. Let's go do that. So it's a very, very, very solid balance for myself, and it keeps me, I would say, reminded. Because I guess when you get very passionate about something, sometimes you put that screen up and you forget about the other side. So she eliminates that screen for me and keeps me balanced. And in turn, I see it through her actions. Okay, I need to do this. And then I'll start obviously planning out activities or doing those sorts of things. So I'm not going to take the credit for this at all. It's 100% Jazz. She brings out that part of me that I'm lacking. And I think that's really, really important. Again, where I've been blessed in my life, having people in my life that can positively influence me and force me to work on my opportunities as a father. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. 100%. As you're talking, what I'm hearing is absolutely, we're in it together. We learn from those around us. They help us keep growing. Let's face it, this isn't something balanced in life when you're so passionate about something like you are. And you have such a significant family, man. You're never going to get it exactly right or perfect. You're always working on it. And what I hear also is taking some of those principles that you put into your teams into your home as well, and vice versa. And let's have some fun. Let's work on something together. Let's be intentional with what we're doing in our home. And go ahead. Yeah.
I just want to say one other thing. The one-on-one time is important.
Yeah.
And again, that's something I've learned from Jazz is she'll take time, as much as we'll do family things together, she'll also do one-on-one time. And that's something I've kind of picked up. Like, I literally have things programmed in my phone. Like, I know every Wednesday I need to reach out to my daughter. As the kids get older, as a parent, you're wondering, okay, do they want to hang out with me? Do they not want to hang out with me? How, because I know I couldn't wait to get out when I was 19 years old. I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to go live my life. And I noticed my relationship change a lot with my parents. And at times I assumed my kids were the same way as me. And I've learned that, no, they're their own personalities. They have their own requirements and needs. So, something that helped me, I have a program in my phone. Hey, every Wednesday I need to pick up that phone, have that one-on-one time, or plan a daddy-daughter date night where we go learn how to make, pre-COVID, we were learning how to make chocolate, whatever, these chocolate-filled candy things, or, sushi night, or even with my kids as individuals. My eldest son, he's off in university and everything, but we still need that connection. He's got interests of, whether it be the shoe business or customizations or whatever the case is. And having that one-on-one time is also really, really important, because there's a lot you can miss out on and not realize by not connecting privately one-on-one, because you're not always going to get everything out in those family situations. So having that one-on-one time has definitely been a huge asset / positive influence on my life. And it's allowed me to connect better. I'm not where I need to be. I'm not. And I know that. But it's allowed me to recognize that that's something I need to be better at. And then it's up to me then to choose the actions to fix that and rectify that. And it's definitely something I'm working on. But I can tell you, it's pretty exciting, because you can see things are starting to connect and roll and everything. And it's pretty cool.
Well,
it's pretty, there's a lot of self-reflection. It's actually amazing. There's so much, like, having a strong personality type, which I do. You kind of don't realize how often you need to self-reflect. And because, I always make that assumption, why can't we do this? It's easy. In my mind, it's easy. It makes sense. But again, you got to keep self-reflecting. Okay, there's a reason why this isn't happening, or there's a reason why this relationship is the way it is, or there's a reason why we're not achieving this result. Self-reflect, pull back, ask questions, talk to people, and listen to the answers that are being provided. And it's pretty cool what you can actually fix or adjust and then get the results.
You know what? We should do this again, brother, if you're into it, because I think we could do a whole conversation on the power of self-reflection. Because the best leaders I've seen over the years, it amazes me the wisdom that they have simply by taking time, slowing down enough. And I'm not great at this either. I'm more of a man of action. I'm on the go. But just the learning to slow down enough to pay attention to what is happening, to what God is doing, to what needs to happen. And what I really appreciate as leaders, as coaches, whatever our roles is, as moms and dads, husbands and wives, as we do that, we also bring that gift to those we're leading, and that's huge. And that's huge. Man, Stan, thanks so much for being a part of this today.
Loved it.
What you're doing in the coaching realm and working with young people, I just want to name, it's making our city a better place to be. We talk about good news here on the Good News Podcast. Our vision at NBUC is imagine God building better lives, better families, a better Brampton and beyond. We certainly do, and see you doing that. So just want to say thanks and to encourage you to keep doing what you do, because you're such a blessing to so many, man. Yeah.
Well, again, I appreciate you coming on again, even doing these things. We're talking about reflection. I'm thinking, it turns the wheels in my mind. I'm like, have I missed anything? And I'm not necessarily talking about the podcast, but me as a father, you know what I mean? Or me as a leader and stuff like that. So that's the great thing about having these conversations, because it constantly, maybe something all of a sudden turns on and you remember something or it sparks something. Hey, I got to go do this today. You know what I mean? So again, I just want to appreciate you having me on here and talking. I love this sort of dialogue. Again, it's my passion and it brightens my day. I was like looking forward to this for the past couple of days. It gets you excited and it's fun.
Absolutely. Hey, well, let's do it again. I'd love to do it again with you. Have you on again, the Good News Podcast, Stan. Yeah, for sure.
Maybe with Theo Fleury, the three of us can get on.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely.
I'm just joking.
Well, I love that you also named about coaching your daughter as well. Because I recognize, just want to name guys. We've talked a lot today about male sports, because Stan's been coaching his sons and my, but just want to say, hey, we believe for 100% that I've been loving watching female sports. And I think that's really, just want to lift that up. And so just to let you know, in several weeks, we'll have Lisa Tomaitis on our Good News Podcast. She is the national coach of the women's basketball team. And so just want to lift up women's sports, as well as, I know we've kind of done men's and guys today, but just want to lift them all up. And we'll kind of, definitely looking forward to that one. Hope you can join us for that when it comes, guys. It'll be an awesome, again, story of good news. Next week, if you're following us along here on the Good News Podcast, next week we're going to have Angela Carter on. Angela is the executive director of Roots Community Services that reaches out specifically to the Caribbean and Black population in the region of Peel. And just an important conversation with her coming up next week. So hope you can join us for more good news. Thanks again, Stan, for being a part of our conversation today, for all that you do. Yeah. Welcome again, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the Good News Podcast. God bless you, and hope to see you next time. Have a great day.
Beauty. Thanks again, guys. Enjoy the day. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Good News Podcast with Jamie Holtum. If you liked what you heard today, please share it with a friend who may benefit from today's conversation. And if you want to hear more, be sure to subscribe to this show and turn on your notifications so you never miss an episode. Thanks again. We hope you enjoyed today's discussion, and we'll see you next time.